again, I want to remind everyone, I'm only doing this because people requested it, right? There is a version of me out there that is not doing this internet drama in an alternate universe, and that version of me is honestly probably much happier. But unfortunately, we are in this universe where people will not stop asking me to comment on other political commentators. And so I figure, why not give my followers what they want? Right? Like, I don't know. Usually I do what I want. Let's do what you want for a change. So yesterday, I covered, quote unquote, like, look at me, like, trying to sound like a prof. Yes, everyone, I covered a news story about, like, no, I didn't cover jack shit. It was a bunch of garbage. That's what I covered. Check this out. This was a bunch of garbage that I did a video on. Look at this. I talked about internet drama between people that don't even know that I exist. And I got almost 1,000 views. Look, what kind of, like, I'm liking my own video, that's right. What kind of asshole, by the way, is subscribed to my channel and doesn't watch daily protest coverage, but watches me commenting on an internet slap fight? Shame on you. Shame on you. I have been attending daily protests for 78 days straight. You think you're a leftist? And you're coming here to watch my Jimmy Dore videos and not my daily protest updates? I got news for you. You're not a leftist. You're a poser. That's what you are. So now that I've insulted my entire audience, let's get into this. So we've got Jimmy Dore. Like, I saw this video that someone sent me of Jimmy Dore on some other dude's podcast basically having a meltdown. And so I'm going to watch. And then, after I watch this, we're going to get into Kyle Kulinski's hour-long magnum opus, right? So let's see how this goes, folks. This is going to be one hell of an internet drama show.
When Kyle told that story, when he did his video, what he did was he got mad at me. The only person he got angry at in the whole thing, he didn't get angry at Cenk for smearing Julian Assange or Aaron Mate or his shady business deal or for calling Jimmy Dore a neo-Nazi or for saying Aaron Mate worked for the Russians or Anna Kasparian for tweeting out a doctor video of an award-winning journalist to smear him or for her doing a phony hashtag #MeToo against me to distract. The only person he got mad at in that whole thing, he wanted to punch me in the face. And why? Because the story I just told you, I told on my show about how Anna flashed the newsroom, and I made a joke. And he said, how...
Okay, I just want to say, for those of you that haven't seen part one, go watch part one. I'm sorry, like, I have been out of the loop on this shit for the last, 2 months. And, people kept sending me all these videos of Jimmy Dore talking about how, he's, fucking staring at Anna's asshole at TYT or something, and how creepy it is. And I'm like, I don't really want to talk about this. It's weird, it's creepy, I don't want to talk about it. And then people keep sending me messages. So again, I don't want to be here. I'm only doing this for the views. Full stop. I'm doing this for the views, and I'm doing this for the money. I don't want to sit here and watch this. Is it entertaining? Absolutely. But I mean, I could be doing so much more with my life, and I'm not because of this. So I just want that to be understood.
How horrible of that with me. Why would I want to humiliate her again? Because she was blackmailing me, and Kyle left that part out of the story, and his own fans are unsubscribing from his show by the thousands.
So again, I mentioned this yesterday. There is no blackmail. This is a conspiracy theory as far as I'm concerned. In order to blackmail someone, basically, you threaten them in a way that says, I have information on you, right? If you don't do what I say, I will release that information. Jimmy making a story public and Anna filling in the holes in the story, that's not blackmail. Blackmail would be okay, Jimmy, if you keep doing this, I'm going to tell everyone about that Christmas party where you did X or whatever. That would, I guess, be blackmail. Blackmail is not, oh, you keep telling a story publicly, you keep publicizing an event, let me fill in the key details and correct the record on that event that you've already publicized and made public. That's not blackmail. Definitionally, that's not blackmail. But they're just sticking with the blackmail thing. This is their version of election integrity or whatever it is. This is their alternate world where they can get, if someone buys into the blackmail narrative, you can sell them anything.
Because of it. He had to do another video he just dropped today apologizing, trying to explain. And it's worse. So Kyle Kulinski is being revealed right now.
So, okay. I just I can't wait to watch this. I can't wait to watch this because again, Kyle just looks depressed. He looks like a sad little puppy right here, and it's amazing, right? So okay, he's got an hour-long video. Bro, what could take an hour long? what could possibly take an hour long? I'm gonna start speeding this shit up because I can't. But like what is wrong with these people? I just want to remind everyone. Yesterday, it was revealed that Kyle Kulinski only got involved in this internet drama. Why? Because Jimmy Dore liked a tweet that he didn't like. Like, again, this is so petty.
Moment. So he did that. He did a totally dishonest, bogus fucking move to try to do a false equivalency because he's on the TYT network and it's all about money for him, I guess, because they're taking dislikes away from his thing. I don't know what Jen Uger's holding over his head, but it's really making Kyle look like a piece of it right now. I'll tell you that. And everybody's calling. You saw what he did, right?
Yes.
Are you okay with it?
I have to agree that I found his last video especially very cowardly, just saying that he didn't want to speak with you. And actually, I have to draw some parallels because I recently saw where he went off at the suggestion that he spoke with Nick Brana.
So I guess this is Nick Brana who wants to bait me into some sort of debate. Dude, I wish you well. I hope you build your party.
I don't care about Nick Brana.
You're gonna Nick.
The wrong reason that he didn't. Kyle is just like a shy guy or doesn't like confrontation, but it seems remarkably cowardly. And so in this last video, he essentially said the reason that he didn't want to have you on is because he didn't want to ask you a question. So I'm just going to ask you the question that he didn't want to ask you. When you were revealing the blackmail attempt by Anna Kasparian, you used the term that she was.
Yo, I can't. Like, again, they treat this shit like it's like. They treat this shit like they're covering, like, fucking international warfare. Like, when you revealed the blackmail attempt. Like, bro, what? Like, I seriously... when you revealed the blackmail attempt, what was going through your mind? Like, I just, like...
You used the term that she was dressing inappropriately. In retrospect, do you think that that was the wrong terminology to use in that response?
The only reason I had to talk about that was because she was fucking blackmailing me. And you're gonna nitpick the words that someone who's being...
I just want to be, like, again... Jimmy has been talking about this since at least December of 2020. So the idea that Jimmy makes a story public in December of 2020 and then is going to say like, oh, the only reason I even made the story public is because I got blackmailed when the quote-unquote blackmail attempt is in like fucking like June of 2021. How does that make any fucking sense? But it doesn't. He's just lying.
And the most sleaziest thing you could do, the thing you can never defend yourself from, she's going to weaponize an incident from 7 years ago. That's an obvious transparent bullshit. She's going to misuse the hashtag me too thing that makes other women not be fucking believed. And the problem Kyle had was that I said she dressed inappropriately when I had to explain what happened. I'm sorry. I don't fucking apologize for that. And what he did was bullshit. And what a bullshit thing. I'm not responding to a fucking sleazy blackmail thing properly. I'm not using the proper words. Is that really the accusation? Yes.
Notice how Jimmy Dore uses the word sleazy there to like he calls Anna Kasparian sleazy. It's funny because that to me is evidence that the word sleazy is in his brain because everyone calls him sleazy, which is a perfect definite like a description of him. So I just want to say like, for example, if a lot of people, like I'm a streamer, right? If a lot of people use a certain word in my chat room, right? And I'm just kind of like, speaking extemporaneously, right? I might use that word because it's in the forefront of my brain. So I just want to say, like, I think that that's really interesting.
That was the accusation. And of course I showed Kyle Kulinski to be a complete full fucking outrage pearl clutcher because he had tweeted at Anna Kasparian before, hey, why don't you masturbate on camera? I bet you'd get more live stream viewers. And Anna Kasparian went back, I bet we get 6,000. So they're all fucking pigs. They're all fucking pigs and they're trying to slime me. And it's not working.
Yeah, as you mentioned,
I didn't fucking talk about it the right way. I'm getting fucking smeared in the sleaziest way possible, and I said inappropriate. Oh my God, Jimmy Dore said inappropriate. Did he say inappropriate? You don't want to punch Jen Uger in the face for smearing Julian.
All right, so I can't take any more of this. So I want to watch Kyle Kulinski's hour-long, like short film documentary, or like it could have been, but it's not. So again, like I literally have gotten so many people asking me to cover this. And asking me to cover different parts. Like, I could just, like, if people gave me the timestamps, I could just go through and cover the highlights. But I'd rather, like, this is a reaction stream. This is, like, you're watching my interpretation in real time. Like, I have no idea. There could be a lot of really good Easter eggs in this video that's going to be hilarious. I have no idea. So let's watch. This ought to be good. Again, I don't want to be here. Kyle Kulinski. Right, I'm Andrea Rovenski. I don't want to be here. This is a civil war in the ski clans. Okay, I don't want to be going out here making videos about fellow skis. This is not something that I'm interested in. To be honest, this is really painful for me, but I'm going to have to do it because my audience demands it.
So I just watched Aaron Mate and Jimmy Dore respond to my segment on their beef with TYT, and I have a lot to say about it. Now, again, let me say up front. There's nothing I want to do less than this segment. I don't want to do this segment at all. But now I feel like I'm in a position where I have...
So again, he does not want to do this segment at all. Like he's again, where I'm at, similarly. I don't want to do this. I'm only doing it for the views and the fucking super chats. Which, by the way, come on folks, super chat time. But I don't want to be here. But at least I'm going to tell you I'm only doing it for the views. Kyle Kulinski's going to say, oh, I need, like, no, you're doing it for the views, buddy. Like, I've got news for you. CJ Fernandez, $5. Ah, now Kyle gets the wrath Jimmy Dore, one of his biggest apologists. That's what's really funny about this, is like they were like best friends, and it was very adorable how like much Kyle was trying not to talk about Jimmy Dore. And then he says one small criticism and then thrown under the bus. It's over.
Have to respond. So where there are areas where I think I'm wrong, I'm going to admit it, and I'm going to own up to it, and I'm going to correct the record, and I'm going to apologize. And there are some of those areas. There's 2 areas where I think I'm wrong, and I think Jimmy is owed an apology. There's also a number of areas where I think they're wrong or completely misinterpreting something that happened. So let's dive into all of it. We're going to break it all down. Hopefully this is the last thing I have to say about it, but we'll see. For all we know, we could be responding video to video from now until the end of time. So let's go ahead and start. Take a look at this first clip.
And to be honest, Kyle said a lot of things in there that I was appreciative of him saying. So that was very nice. He said things like, of course, Jimmy's not a right winger. Jimmy's not a grifter. Jimmy is a guy who's on the left and criticizes the Democrats from those. So that was super helpful.
And that's the thing, is like super helpful. Like that's like, notice that's the key terminology. Super helpful. Yeah, it is helpful. Because those are all true statements that Kyle is running your water for. That's why it's super helpful. Jay Creates, $4.99. Lord have mercy. Too much drama. Thank you. I'm glad to profit off of the drama. I'm glad to profit off of other people's drama. That's even better. I don't even have to get involved. I'm a viewer.
Said all that, and I also
people make the content for me, and then I get paid for it. What? I love capitalism now.
You know, I think yesterday I said it too on the show that I was super grateful to Kyle for his support of Force the Vote. He was the most eloquent defender of Force the Vote, and I was really happy about that. I was really grateful.
All right, so a couple things here. First of all, thank you, Jimmy. My response is the same thing I said previously. I think you're a totally honest actor. I know you believe every single word you say. I know you're super passionate. I wouldn't doubt your integrity for a second. I think that the criticisms are absurd when people say you're a right winger or you're a grifter or whatever. So I just want to establish here, number 1, a mutual respect. Number 2, a friendship. But number 3, and this is probably most important, he's showing.
Okay, so Jimmy Dore says that. Now I want to go look at his Twitter feed real quick. I want you to see this motherfucker's Twitter feed. During this time where he makes these videos. So here we have Jimmy Dore's tweets and replies. So let's go back to like July 4th. So, okay. Look at this. So so July 3rd he makes this video. And he's just talking about, he's just going on his little rampages, replying to random people. Just like going on a complete and utter meltdown for like 5 days, right? As this video is being made. And so I just think that that's extremely hilarious. I think that's extremely funny, is they're making these videos where they're trying to do these like nice guy points, and then they're going on Twitter like fucking rehashing the entire fucking internet drama war over and over and over again, and like having a complete and utter meltdown. It's incredible.
Here, okay, Kyle is a good faith actor. Kyle's a good faith actor. He's an honest person. What he's saying comes from a good place. He's not malicious. He's not a liar. He's not a smear merchant. He's keeping it.
Thank you, Torrentile Rage, $5. Kyle's judgment is garbage. I agree. Real on End, 70 Zars, capitalism heart emoji. I love capitalism now. My perspective there was off. I love capitalism.
Okay, so we've established that. Wonderful. I do want you to take note, though. When it's stuff that I agree with them, that's their perception of me. You'll see when there's areas where we disagree, or where they think we disagree, or they don't like something I said or did, all of a sudden that assumption of good faith or that charitable interpretation, it goes out the window. So let's continue. Obviously, I'm going to talk here about the drama.
So can we talk about Kyle? Okay, so Kyle's doing a video, and then he references a segment of Jimmy Dore doing a video, where he's referencing a segment of Kyle doing a video, where he's referencing it. Like, I'm just saying, like, this is extremely funny.
Between Jimmy Dore and Aaron Mate versus the Young Turks. So I just want to reiterate, I don't want to do this segment. I don't want to talk about it. I've bent over backwards to stay out of this fight. Now, some of you might not like that. I don't care. I don't care. I'll never hide a single thing from any of you when it comes to policy. But when it comes to personal shit, I don't want to get involved in it, and I want to stay out of it.
Again, I just want to say, Kyle thinks Russiagate is policy. Kyle thinks hashtag force the vote is policy. He thinks, like, marketing campaign hashtags are a policy discussion. That's what he thinks. So, like, again, Kyle is either, like, very dumb or just, like, really trying to puff himself up here. Hello? Oh.
Okay, now, I'll just briefly comment on that, and we'll talk about it more as we go on, but it was incorrect of him to state it as drama.
All right, so let me be clear. It's not just drama. It's a lot more than just drama. A big part of it is about Syria. A big part of it is about force the vote. A big part of it is about Russiagate. All of these substantive issues. Now, on the policy stuff, though,
Again, oh my god, bro. Okay. I literally just criticized him for being stupid in referencing the previous video, and then he just, like, did it for me. He just laid out exactly. Okay, so Syria, force the vote, and Russiagate. Substantive issues. Substantive issues,
Drama.
folks.
It's a lot more than just drama. A big part of it is about Syria. A big part of it is about force the vote. A big part of it is about Russiagate. All of these substantive issues. Now,
I'm like...
Only the really, I hate to say this, but those with the lowest IQ.
on the policy stuff, though, nobody has to guess where I'm at. Everybody knows exactly where I'm at. I'm on the record 1,000 times over. But that stuff is important. That stuff is substantive. I will never shy away from that stuff. The reason I call it trauma is because of the other stuff. Now we're talking about, rightly or wrongly, we're talking about hashtag Me Too stuff. We're talking about
Can you notice, by the way, how, like, Jimmy Dore or Kyle Kulinski has to, like, be as baby talky and specific as possible in this video because he knows Jimmy Dore is going to purposefully contort and misinterpret everything he says in the worst way possible. Like, you notice how the way he's speaking is he's trying to, like, give himself as many get-out-of-jail-free cards as possible within these sentences so that Jimmy Dore can't possibly misconstrue him. But he doesn't realize that Jimmy Dore is just going to edit him away, or that he's just going to, like, you know, ignore that segment entirely. He doesn't realize that Jimmy Dore is a dishonest or at least he doesn't publicly realize that Jimmy Dore is just a freak show and he's going to do whatever he wants. But, like, I find the baby talk way of speaking to be hilarious to me.
We're talking about people being liars and smear merchants and grifters and right-wingers and corrupt and every negative thing you can think of. When it gets that personal...
By the way, yeah, again, like, can we talk about how he puts hashtag Me Too in the drama category? But substantive issues like Russiagate and force the vote, like, those are substantive issues. Hey, y'all, do you want to force the vote? Hashtag. That's substantive. Hey, someone sexually harassed me or assaulted me, and, you know, I you know, like, that's just drama. Whatever. Like, I'm sorry, man. What the fuck?
And people are going after integrity and motivations. Yes, I'm a lot more hesitant to step in there because in order for me to comment on that stuff, man, there's so much stuff to unpack. It's hard to unpack everything. It's hard to get back to the root. It's hard to comment on every nook and cranny. So the easier thing is, hey, let me just stay out. I'll stick to the policy stuff, and you guys can handle all that other stuff. Okay, continue. I don't agree with Hannah on that. She said that. It was fucked up. But as soon as I read that tweet, I said, uh-oh, here we go. This shit is about to get nuclear because Jimmy Dore has one gear, and that gear is nuclear.
Okay, and well, let me just show this. So
so now Joe Rogan is on.
It makes it sound like that's a negative. First of all, he shows a bunch of videos where I'm completely level-headed and arguing in good faith for the Young Turks, but which kind of undermines what he just said, that I only have one speed. But here, I don't mind people saying that. That's actually, I take it as a compliment because we need people on the left who are going to go nuclear because they won't even go conventional. They won't even do anything. So they're doing nothing. So people want someone to go nuclear. But I always thought that was a good thing. I thought Kyle agreed with that because when he was on Joe Rogan, this is what they said.
You know what's been amazing? Jimmy Dore. Jimmy Dore's fucking podcaster. He's a good friend of mine. I love Jimmy Dore. He's calling everybody out. Everybody on the left.
I love how, like, look at the way Jimmy Dore jumps at this.
He's a good friend of mine. I love Jimmy Dore.
Look at that. Like, he hears someone who considered him a good friend, and he's shocked. Right? That's hilarious. Because, like, again, Kyle is, like, trying not to wade into what he perceives as internet drama, and Jimmy Dore's been harassing the shit out of him the whole time privately, and is now doing so publicly, right? And that, like, this feels sad. This is like, if you add, like, some emotional piano to this, like, you might start crying. It's like, oh shit, this is a great betrayal. That's like, this is so funny, dude. I can't I'm only 6 minutes in. Holy
He's
shit.
calling everybody out. Everybody on the left, everybody on the right.
Breathes fire.
He breathes fire. He doesn't give a fuck. He goes hard. He was doing this.
Okay, so again, this is probably the first example of him misinterpreting intent on my part. When I said Jimmy Dore has one gear and it's nuclear, I'm not saying that in that instance with a negative or a positive connotation. I'm saying it just as an objective descriptor. Now, ultimately, in my opinion, he's right. When it comes to politics...
Again, like, Kyle baby talking him. Of course he didn't mean that. You're telling me Jimmy Dore and Kyle have been friends for like 5 or 6, 7, 8, I don't know how long years, and Jimmy doesn't know the way Kyle speaks and what he would mean by certain words? You're telling me that? No, of course he knew exactly what Kyle meant. He just pretended that it meant something else for the sake of getting views. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
A negative or a positive connotation. I'm saying it just as an objective descriptor. Now, ultimately, in my opinion, he's right. When it comes to politics, nuclear. Go nuclear all day long. We need politicians and we need media figures who are willing to go nuclear because, like he says, nobody's willing to go nuclear, and he's right about that. So when it comes to politics and the national debate, nuclear all day long, I love it, and that's what Jimmy does. However, when it comes to private matters, personal matters, dealing with friends and family, nuclear is not as preferable, and you shouldn't go to it nearly as much. It's not true, to be fair and to be clear.
I wonder what was
he
edited
has shown
there.
restraint at various...
I wonder what was edited here. Check this out.
What Jimmy does. However, when it comes to private matters, personal matters, dealing with friends and family, nuclear is not as preferable, and you shouldn't go to it nearly as much. It's not true.
So he said something he regretted. That's crazy. He said something he regretted.
To be fair and to be clear, he has shown restraint at various times. But yes, one of the criticisms is, and I think you'll see this throughout the course of the video here, he misinterprets a number of things, and then he does end up going nuclear, perhaps in...
I will lower it down just a little just for you. How about that? 1.6?
Certainly, but he ends up going nuclear on me when we've already established that, hold on, I'm a good faith actor and I mean well and my criticisms are coming from a place of good faith, but then you end up going nuclear on me. So yes, the nuclear nature that's good at the political level might not be as beneficial at the friendship level or at the personal level. Continue. Crystal and I were planning to have Jimmy on Crystal, Kyle, and Friends one day. We were planning to have Cenk on Crystal, Kyle, and Friends one day. And then as we watched this, we decided, you know what? We don't want to have either one of them on right now because then we would be responsible for getting in the middle of this absolute mess. And we would have to ask really uncomfortable questions that are really personal in nature. And I don't want to have anything to do with some personal shit.
That's not true.
Nothing at all. I care about policy. I don't care about personal shit. When I said there, listen, if he comes on Crystal,
okay, can we talk? Okay, so now we're so Kyle Kulinski is, imagine him in the editing process, right? So he's fired up his video editor. He just recorded this whole video, right? So he's dragging in a clip of him like setting up Jimmy Dore's segment. Jimmy Dore's segment starts. It's literally just Kyle talking. And then now it's back to Kyle talking in a different timeline. So, like, Kyle 1 is talking, and then it's Kyle 2 who's talking, and then Kyle 1 responds to what Kyle 2 said. But, like, Jimmy Dore said nothing there. He just said, like, what the fuck?
Friends, I'm obligated. I have a
sorry,
responsibility
this is so
to
funny.
ask questions about that.
Like, I'm just sorry, like, from a video editing standpoint, like, I do this, like, this is my thing, this is the world that I live in. So I can tell you, the idea that I would be sitting there at my video editor dragging and dropping these fucking video files, and it's me responding to me, responding to me, responding to what someone said about me, about, like, I would never conceive of doing that, because it's so pompous, it's so ridiculous, and it's just hilarious.
Yes. Now, I'm going to ask questions, not that I think are unfair, not that I think feed into the smear or validate the smear. I would ask a question like, hey, when they threatened you, when Anna threatened you, when she effectively blackmailed you, and you were swatting aside the allegations, it was an unfair situation.
Again, what is this blackmail conspiracy theory? Like, seriously, it's not blackmail, dude. Like, there is no... it's so stupid.
But in retrospect, do you feel like you worded everything right?
Yeah, I love that, Catherine. Let's react to what we said yesterday. Like, that's what this fucking thing is. Like, it's so hilarious. Like, so this is what I said last week, and then what I said the other day, and then what I said contrasted, juxtaposed with what I said 3 days ago. And, like, oh my God, Lord have mercy. And again, he's buying into the blackmail thing because he's a fucking loser who has no fucking spine. He's afraid to fucking, like, actually criticize his friend and then not apologize for it. He was right to say in the first video that if someone had said that about, like, my friend or family, that I would want to, you know, right? That's a correct statement, in my opinion. And now he's walking it back because he's a little baby boy.
Would you sort of...
And here's the thing. He knew he said that. He knows media. He knows how people work on Twitter. He knows all social media game. He knows enough that when he pressed stop recording on that video, and when he put it into the video editor and all that, and when he pressed upload on YouTube, and then when he made the tweet advertise, he knew every step of that process that Jimmy Dore would react to him saying he would punch someone who said something if it weren't Jimmy. He knew that would be news, and he put that in there anyway, which means to say he believes that, and he's only walking it back because he wants more good boy points. US Fest 499. Hey, it's Brian Buchanan, not me, US Fest from Twitter. Yes, I understand. Please dissect Vanguard's circle jerk with National Socialist Greenwald from maybe tomorrow? I gotta get back into remind me on Twitter. Feel free to spam me on the DMs so that I can, do that tomorrow. I don't know. I have a lot of internet drama people want me to catch up on, as you can see.
Change the way you did it because you did go a little too far, talk about she's dressing inappropriately and effectively slut-shamed her. In retrospect, how do you feel about how you handled that? Now,
also, Kyle saying that Jimmy Dore was slut-shaming Anna. I understand Kyle's trying to say that in a good way, but who's to decide if Anna's dressing slutty, and what does slutty even mean? So that's the thing about that that's a little creepy. I'm just saying, and I understand that Kyle's not saying that to be intentionally creepy or bizarre, but that's how it comes off to me. And I know if I were in that position, I would be like, I wasn't dressing slutty, right? I don't know, that's weird. That's strange.
This is an example of, I think that's a perfectly valid and substantive question. I don't think that's a question that validates a smear. I think that's a question a lot of people want to know the answer to. A lot of fair-minded people want to know the answer to. Here's the problem. We're at an impasse. I think that's a perfectly fair question, and I would feel obligated. I would feel a responsibility to ask that question if he came on Crystal, Kyle, and Friends. And I know Jimmy does not agree. Jimmy thinks that's an unfair question. He thinks it's unfair, and he definitely thinks it validates the smear. And so now, what are we supposed to do? We're at an impasse. I feel an obligation. I feel a responsibility to ask a tough, but I think fair question. He thinks that's an unfair question. In my opinion, the best solution, and since Jimmy's my friend, this is what I fell back on, is let's just not have him on. Let's just not have him on, and we don't have to ask the question. That's what I was thinking. Now, people could actually come after me from the opposite perspective on this and say, if anything, that's not fair, and that's weak of Kyle, because he's basically covering for his friend Jimmy. He was going to ask him a tough but fair question, but he'd rather dodge and punt and not have him on the show at all, so he doesn't have to ask him that tough question. And to that I say, I'm kind of guilty of that criticism. Yes, I mean, that was one of the reasons.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I got to give him that one. He understands that he's a little beta male. This is what I was saying yesterday. This guy's a little beta male. But okay, he's got that. I'll take the apology.
I want to jeopardize my friendship with him by asking him what I thought was a tough but fair question and he thought was an unfair question. I didn't want to jeopardize my friendship with him. I also didn't want to have to argue about the legitimacy of a question that I think is very legitimate. You know what I mean? I didn't want to get into the personal argument and have personal strife over that. So, and understand something, guys. We had Vosh on the podcast, and he previously accused me and Crystal being grifters and every negative thing under the sun, and so we had to talk about that. Was it a little awkward? Absolutely. No, I don't even know Vosh that well. We had Andrea on the podcast. I don't know Andrea at all. We had to press him on BDS, and when he basically was like, Israel killing civilians is totally fine, and killing children is fine. We had to push him on all these things. It was awkward, and I don't even know them that well. Jimmy, I know pretty well, and my question for him would be even more awkward and more personal, and I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to ask him about it. But I would have felt like a fraud if I didn't ask him a tough but fair question like that. So what did I do? I did what I thought was the better thing for me, because I don't want to deal with the personal strife, but also for him, because he would think it's an unfair question, and so I punted. I didn't want him on. So when he's talking there, shaking his head saying that's not true, when what I'm saying is definitely true. My point is, if I have you on, I have to ask about this. I don't have a choice. I view it as my responsibility, my obligation. See, that's the problem. We're now at an impasse, and we're never going to see eye to eye on that. And so,
the rain
even though I agree with Jimmy completely.
Tropical storm, Elsa, I think it's called. The rain's starting up here, so if the light goes away, it's because it's all cloudy out there.
That effectively he was blackmailed. He was threatened, and it's unfair. And he has every right to swat aside those allegations, and I'm happy he did, and he should do that. But the way he did it went a little overboard, and he was slut-shaming Anna. I'm sorry, I think that's a fact, even though Jimmy's my friend. And so I would have had to ask him a question on that. He's shaking his head.
Kyle is saying slut. I understand he's trying to be a support. It's not slut-shaming. Who are you to decide what constitutes slut-shaming? Who are you to decide? You don't even know what she was wearing. You have no jurisdiction to make that claim. I'm sorry. It's just, there's better language to use. She was sexually harassed by a coworker.
No.
Again, that puts the onus entirely on Jimmy Dore. Right? Saying that she was slut-shamed kind of makes it seem like, oh, she was slutty, and it provides that victim-blaming side that is unnecessary, and there's better language to use. I'm just throwing that out.
In other words, Jimmy wanted to come on the podcast and also just not have me ask anything about that, or if I did ask anything about that, frame it 100% from his perspective. Well, Jimmy, I got bad news for you, man. In this whole debate and argument, I'm probably 85 or 90% with you, and I'm only 10% or 15% with TYT, but I'm going to have to ask the questions for that 10 or 15% because that's me being intellectually honest, and I can't not be intellectually honest. Okay, let's continue.
Well, if you care about policy, then why not, and you recognize that the smear of me was ridiculous, why not just call that out to begin with? Because, look, my problem here is that when people stay silent on something so egregious as slander, then you're giving sort of tacit endorsement to it, even if you think it's obvious what everyone's going to think your opinion is. If prominent people on the left say nothing when someone gets accused of working for Russia or for dictators, I see that as a tacit green light.
Here's why I totally disagree with that.
So, okay, Aaron, in other words, Aaron is saying, pay attention to me or you're a fake leftist. Like, okay, why can't I say that? If I get attacked or harassed, right? Why doesn't fucking Aaron Mate make a video about me? Because I'm irrelevant. He doesn't care about me. And the same way that Kyle probably doesn't give a fuck about him. Like, no one cares about you, bro. You are not the main character. No matter how close you're trying to get to the all-star cast, you're still the C-movie actor. You're still the loser that no one really cares about. Like, this could be your breakout moment, but in all reality, let's be honest. You're going to go back to being obscure later. No, like, this is your 5 minutes of fame, Aaron. No one gives a fuck about you. Like, seriously, his main character syndrome is just so ridiculous.
He says, if I don't speak up on it, it's a tacit endorsement of the smears. I was smeared by Mike Cernovich when he dug up all my old tweets and wrote an article calling me a sexist and a racist and a bigot and every negative thing under the sun. Not a single lefty defended me. Not a single one. I'm not mad about that. It's not their responsibility. I'm not entitled to their defense. And you know what? I don't look at that and say, Aaron Mate agrees with Mike Cernovich's smears with me because he didn't say anything. That's a tacit endorsement. That's tacit agreement with what Mike Cernovich said. I simply don't agree with that. It's not your fight. It's not your battle. And everybody's getting smeared on a daily basis. Can't keep up with all this stuff anyway. In the case of Crystal, Nathan J. Robinson wrote an article basically saying, Crystal works with...
I'm sorry. The idea that Kyle's going to compare these two things, right? Nathan J. Robinson criticizing how Crystal Ball works with an open and proud fascist to promote fascism and get, socialists to rethink their ideology and maybe be more socially conservative, and then also support, corporate, ownership over things, right? That's a good critique. That's a critique that you can maybe disagree with, but to call it a smear is ridiculous. Comparing that to someone who's an openly Trump-supporting racist trying to just defame you by bringing up dumb shit that you did a long time ago. That is absolutely a smear. But someone criticizing Crystal's show and how she goes about doing her show and how she works for Trump-supporting billionaires, that's just a good faith critique. And you're like, again, that's just an awful juxtaposition. And this proves to me again that Kyle is very dishonest.
The populist right and Sagar and Jetty, who's populist right. The most successful people on the populist right were...
Again, there's no such thing as populist right. There's no such thing as populist right. It doesn't exist.
Nazis. Therefore, Crystal is emboldening or enabling Nazism. The article was insane. She was deeply hurt by that article.
If she was deeply hurt, then I don't know, maybe she should have a good faith debate with someone who believes those things. Like me. Crystal, you follow me on Twitter. Like, let me bring that up. Unless she unfollowed me. It's possible. You followed me on Twitter, Crystal. So look at this. Check this out. Come on, Crystal. You want a good faith conversation? Come on. I'm just teasing. I'm just teasing. All right. But for real though, I genuinely think that it's extremely bad to be working with people that are open and proud fascists. Now again, you might disagree that I consider Sagar to be an open and proud fascist. That's very possible. But again, you advocate for Trump, right? The whole USPS conspiracy theory thing, the whole election integrity thing that he was holding on to, a lot of this stuff, again, the I'm for Medicare for all, but the whole, immigration hatred of people that, that screams fascist or fascist adjacent. If you want to pretend that populist right's a thing, let's have that conversation. I'm just throwing that out there.
Not a single, actually, Glenn Greenwald defender, because that's his beat. He cared a lot about that. But very few people defend her. I did and Glenn did, and that's pretty much it. Now, if Aaron didn't say anything on that, or other lefties didn't say anything on that, Crystal doesn't hold it against them because she doesn't view just not jumping in the middle of it as a tacit endorsement of it or tacit agreement of it. So on this front, Aaron, we're just going to fundamentally disagree. And by the way, I think maybe the most important point is you win, dude, because I actually agree with you completely. And so when I felt like my hand was forced and I had to jump in the debate, what did I say? Go watch my last video. I said you were totally smeared. It's completely fucked up. Totally denounce it. Should have never happened. The smear was so stupid I was literally laughing as I listened to it. And by the way, I think you're a great journalist. I do.
I'm speeding this up because there's no way I can watch it at one time speed, Mary, I'm sorry.
You're a wonderful journalist. And, I've cited the OPCW report 1,000 times. So, that's just a fundamental disagreement. And I want to point something out again here. Early on in the clip, it was very, he operates in good faith. He's an honest actor. And then now here we are again.
I think Kyle Kulinski and Crystal Ball are not great when it comes to their message or their ideology. And I would love to have a conversation with them about that. That doesn't mean I think they're evil people. I think that they do a lot of things for money and don't really care about the actual, values that they try to espouse. That doesn't mean I think they're evil people, right? And so, the idea that they're going to go out there and say, Nathan Robinson is insane or something, I find that to be bizarre.
And where, since I didn't say anything, I didn't jump in immediately, well, that's actually a tacit endorsement of the smear merchants. That's a stretch, man.
Well, what happened was they booked me like a month earlier, right? So
Also,
like on
can
June.
I'm sorry. Can we talk about this?
Smear merchants. That's a stretch, man.
Well, what happened was
Like this fucking, I can't with this picture. Yo, this fucking. Like, shout outs to Jimmy Dore on that one. That picture, like, that picture, the saturation, right? Like, the green hurts your eyeballs. Like, the way Kyle's eyes are, like, wide open and looking in, like, a bizarre direction. Like, the open mouth with, like, you can't really understand what the hell he's trying to say. Like, that photo is fantastic. So, again, shout outs to fucking Jimbo Dumbo there. That is really funny.
was they booked me like a month earlier, right? So like on June 1st, I was texting with Crystal, and I said, she asked me to tweet out their new show. She was like, hey, could you help promote our new show? And I said, done, I did it. I helped promote their new show. And she said, I said, looking forward to KKF. Kyle has not floated any dates to me yet. And she said, all right, I'll bug him, and thank you. You've always been so good to us, and I am truly grateful. And so you heard Kyle also refer to me on the Joe Rogan clip as his good friend.
Oh, gosh.
So the way they treated me after this was not like you would treat a friend or even an enemy. The way they treated me was unbelievably rude and unprofessional to the extreme.
Can we
So this
talk
is where it
about,
gets
by the
upsetting
way,
because-
like the idea of like leaking DMs? I'm sorry, it's just so, it's juvenile. Like, what stays private, what's public is public. If you want to have a public beef, that's fine, right? But the idea of like, oh, here's what you DM'd me 8 years, like, I'm sorry, it's so petty, it's so nasty, and it's weird. Like, again, like if it's one thing, if you like DM me a bunch of like evil garbage, yeah, sure, I'll just post it immediately. But to like hold on to those kinds of things and then bring it up months later, I find it to be petty and weird. That's just me personally.
Jimmy is about to get into, he views a lot of the things that he's about to explain, he views a lot
Bye-bye,
of them
Jake
as like
Greens.
really terrible slights. And like Crystal and I taking pot shots and being super rude, bordering on evil to him. And all I can say, and I'll break it down as we go along here, is he's reading too much into it. He's misinterpreting it. None of this had any malice or malintent whatsoever. We weren't slighting him even.
Jimmy has known this guy for 5, 7, who knows how long years, right? And he knows what Kyle means when he says things. But he says something else on his show because he wants to play the victim. And Kyle is really trying to take him in good faith, but he's not. He's a bad faith actor. And I know I keep pointing that out, but like it's just hilarious.
Even a little bit. And, you know, this is what I mean when I say he's got that nuclear gear and he's going nuclear. I mean, listen, he's showing private texts here. I'm not going to make a big deal of it. He's going to show one of mine in a second as well. But I do think if the roles were reversed and I was showing his texts to me and without his approval, I do think he would view that as like inexcusable on its own. Listen, again, I think Jimmy means well.
I agree.
I think he's an honest guy. I think he's a very passionate guy. But I do think this is an area where...
I love this. I think Jimmy means well. I know Jimmy is leaking private texts, and I wouldn't do that, and I find it reprehensible, but I know he means well. He's a really good guy. I love Jimmy. He's my good friend. I know he's sexually harassing my friends, but he's a good guy, I promise. I know he keeps misinterpreting and lying about everything I say, but he's a good friend. He's an honest actor. Like, this guy is such a fucking beta boy. US Fest, $4.99. Nate Robinson is also a worm. See his debate with Greenwald on Bad Faith a few days ago. He pretends BJG is a good faith moderator. Also loves Katie Halper. I'm whatever. He can have those opinions. That doesn't mean that I disagree with his article on Sagar and Crystal. That full stop. I mean, that's my point. But
he's just going to misinterpret and view a lot of things as slights that are not at all slights. Continue.
So you see that I have a date booked. So she gives me the date. I picked June 24th. So when June 24th comes around, I'm ready to go do the show. And I realize they haven't given me a link. They haven't nothing. There's no text reminding me, no nothing. So we're supposed to go at 10 a.m. and at 5 to 10, I texted them both saying, hey, I have this on my calendar today. Are we still doing it? And they ghosted me. So they decided not to have me on the show, and they didn't tell me. They didn't send me an email the day ahead of time or even the day or whatever. Nothing. And they didn't respond to my text when I sent it to them. They just ghosted me. And then about 2.5 hours later in the afternoon, so I was supposed to do it at 10 a.m., around 12:30, they sent me a text. And here's the text, okay? And the reason why I bring this up is because Kyle brought it up. So now that's why I'm bringing this up. So I'm going to tell you. So here's my text. Are we doing a show today? My calendar says we are. And Kyle says, hey, Jimmy. So again, that's at 2.5 hours later, after they ghosted me, he says, hey, Jimmy, we are trying to stay as far away from the war between you and Aaron and TYT as possible. On the policy, we agree much more with you. Russia, Syria, force the vote, etc. We're disturbed by Anna's attacks on Aaron, but we also didn't like the way you talked about Anna's dress. Huh? What? The effing F?
This is so cringy.
Are you kidding me? That's my good friend.
This is so cringy.
Yeah.
See ya, Susan.
Again, I would have had to ask you about that, man. I didn't want to ask you about that. And I would have asked you, again, in what I view as a completely fair way.
Hilarious.
Yes.
I just have to say, is it really funny that they just ghosted him and didn't even tell him the day before? That's hilarious. That's hilarious to me. That's extremely funny. Not me, $5. Kyle and Crystal ghosting Jimmy is legit hilarious. Thank you. Jimmy's sitting. Jimmy's sitting there waiting for them to join the Zoom call and waiting, his face getting redder. We're on the same wavelength. That shit is extremely funny. Is it petty? Is it childish? Abso-fucking-lutely, and that's why I love it. It's extremely good content.
I think that they threatened you, and that's totally unfair and it's totally unjust. You have every right to swat aside those allegations, and I'm glad you did. But when you did go overboard, and you did slut shame her. So I think it would have been a fair question to say, hey, do you think you went a little too far in the language that you used afterwards? I know you don't think it's fair. I think that's a fair question. And so I would have had to ask that question. And so in my opinion, the best thing I could possibly do was get as far away from the situation as possible and not have any of you guys on the show. Now, instead of trying for a second to see maybe why I would take this position, he's viewing it as a phenomenal slight. Now, by the way, let me correct the record here. He says we ghosted him. Jimmy, we didn't ghost you. We responded literally as soon as we could. We were recording a show, which is why it took over 2 hours for us to respond to you. But as soon as we saw your text, we responded. We talked for about 5 minutes to try to determine what the best response would be. And we decided, just be completely honest. Be completely honest. Hey, we want to get as far away from the war as possible.
Okay, so again, you could have done that the day before. Like, again, just admit you ghosted him. Just admit it, bro. You ghosted his bitch ass. It's all good. I would have done the same thing. But him trying to lie about it is like, as if you didn't know. Right, yeah, like, you knew, like, when he texted you and then you take 2 out, that's one thing. But you, like, normally it's proper etiquette to, like, show up the day before, hey, you still on for tomorrow? And if you're gonna cancel on him, then it's like, if you already know you're gonna cancel on him, then just tell him when you decide that. You don't wait until after, like, well, I mean, you do, because it's really funny. But again, him trying to pretend like he didn't go, like, just admit it, man. You ghosted him. Like, and you got him too. Like, they're mad as hell.
Hope you understand. And honestly, we're so naive. We thought there was a chance you'd be like, yeah, I get it. It's gotten ugly. There's blackmail and there's #MeToo stuff, and you guys are going for each other's intentions, and you're saying you're grifters, and I wouldn't be surprised if some of this ended up in court. So I wouldn't, I don't blame you for not wanting to get involved. But he didn't see it like that. Now it's time for an apology though, because he's right about something here, and it's a very important thing, and I want to make no excuses for it whatsoever. We were flat out wrong to do it. We should have told him the day before, or the day before that.
Okay.
We should have told him at some point.
All right. See, that's incredible.
I ask you, honestly, there's no excuse for it. I will tell you what we were thinking. Again, this isn't an excuse. This isn't a rationalization. This is just what was going on in our minds at the time. Honestly, we were afraid of the argument that would come when we told you, hey, we don't want to have you on. We don't want to have Jank or Anna either, but like, we don't want to have you on. We were very afraid, hey, it's possible when we say this, that he might get really angry and view us as like the enemy. And
beta. Like, I'm sorry, like, this is full on like beta. Like, this is
kind of what happened. He took that as a slight, and he viewed it as, now we're the enemy. And we were trying to, every step of the way, and this was part of the problem too, is that I'm a non-confrontational guy. I don't want confrontation ever on the personal level, right? Like, I scream on the show and whatnot, but it's all in the abstract. It's all political. But on the personal level, like, every step of the way, I wanted to figure out how to de-escalate and make it so that, nobody's mad at me. Like, I wanted to salvage my friendship with Jimmy while also being completely honest with how I felt about the situation. And so I figured the best way to do that is just to stay out and not have anybody on the show, because if I don't have Jimmy on the show, I don't have to ask him about, hey, didn't you go overboard a little bit with your language when you were swatting aside the allegations? Didn't you slut shame? So I figured, hey, man, I can keep my integrity because I'm not lying. I'm just not talking about the issue. I can keep my integrity, and I can keep my friendship with him if, he doesn't come on the show. Well, unfortunately, he didn't, think that we had a good reason for not wanting him on. He got very angry. Let's continue.
So I sent them a text back, and here it is, but I'll read it to you. I said, I'm stunned by this. You are trying to draw ridiculous false equivalency that ultimately takes the sides of a blackmailing and smearing of me.
Okay. Hold the phone.
That we had a good reason for not wanting him on. He got very angry. Let's continue.
So I sent them a text back.
Okay. So we have the text here. Right? And then we've got like this, like, someone looked at the text and wrote that into a computer and made this graphic and added the date to it. What? You have the text right here, bro. It's right there. We can read it. It's right there. The whole thing is there. And then you're gonna make this look like it's like on a book jacket quote. Like, this is like something you see on the back of a book. You know what I mean? Like, this is something you see on, like, the bottom of a movie poster. Like, what the fuck is this? I'm sorry, I have to point that out, but what is this?
Sides of a blackmailing and smearing of me, and a McCarthyite smear of Aaron. The way I talked about Anna's dress amounted to me saying nice new skirt. I told this joke at a time when Anna and Jank were doing segments such as mocking Britney Spears' old cooch in their effort to become the Howard Stern show. And the way I responded to Anna's embarrassment at my joke was to apologize and send her a card immediately without a pressure campaign or threat of a blackmail, as a friend would do. You are somehow trying to draw an equivalency between that incident 7 years ago and what Anna and Cenk are doing now.
Let me be as clear as I can be. I'm not at all drawing an equivalency. There's a difference between a false equivalence and just saying, hey, I want nothing to do with this. Because if I'm being completely honest about my opinions, I'm 85 or 90% with Jimmy and Aaron on this, and I'm 10 or 15% with the Young Turks. That's my honest opinion about it. Now, I can break it down and give every little specific as to how I calculate I'm 85 or 90% with Jimmy or 10 or 15% with TYT on this, but suffice to say, there's a giant difference between saying, I think there's 50% blame here and 50% blame here, and just saying, hey, I just don't want to be involved in this. Can you please understand why I wouldn't want to be involved in this? So there is no equivalence. I don't think there's any equivalence in this fight. I'm very much more on one side of this, but I don't want to have anything to do with it because it is ugly and it is personal.
Again, I really love that whole aspect, is that like he is bending over backwards for Jimmy Dore's respect. But he's also saying, yeah, I just have these one or two big disagreements. And instead of pushing it under the rug, Jimmy is releasing fucking the hounds on his ass. Like, it's hilarious. And then Kyle's like, I'm so sorry, Jimmy. You're a good friend. I know you're attacking me, and I know that you're doing. I love you, Jim.
Ugly or personal. Again, I don't know how they make that claim, but they do try to make that claim. And then a few other points here which I think are important. He brings up how it's a McCarthyite smear campaign. Totally agree. And Jimmy, you know that because in my previous segment, which you watched, I say that's correct. You guys are being McCarthy smeared, for sure. So, again, it's weird because I feel like I'll say something, they agree to it, and then they'll bring it up again later as like a strike against me as if I'm feeding into X, Y, or Z. But I'm not, because I'm on the record on all those things, and I don't agree with the McCarthy smears. And I don't agree with the smearing of Aaron. I don't agree with the threats they did to you, so on and so forth. But he actually ends up in that little clip there showing another reason why I didn't want to get involved, because so, TYT, to one extent or another, was basically arguing Jimmy Dore's a misogynist, right? That's one of the arguments that they're making. And so Jimmy's response, along with Aaron and others, was to say, oh, this is total hypocrisy because look at these old clips where they're talking about, the pussies of various celebrities or whatever. But they didn't stop there. If they stopped there, fair enough. That's a decent point, right? They didn't stop there. They went that next step and said, look, they're such hypocrites. And also, they're the real misogynists. Well, now you lost me. Because in the same way, Jimmy, that I actually defend the initial incident here, where I say, no, I think your interpretation is probably correct, that you made a joke, and now it's just being weaponized against you years later. So, what, you can't make a joke? So I don't think that's misogyny. I also don't think those old segments are misogyny. In fact, okay, this is going to be controversial to say, but that's back when I loved TYT. When TYT, had the news hour, and then they had the Howard Stern hour, I wouldn't miss a fucking episode. I thought it was the best thing in the world. Listen, I'm in favor of jokes, and I'm in favor of fucking around, because I'm a big fan of political incorrectness, and I do see this hypocrisy.
Okay, so this is just extremely funny. Like, I'm just like, he's blogging at this point. Like, oh my God.
Of like, when they do the political, and give all my
F you instead of me. So, now Kyle went on to do a segment with
I'm
Cenk Uger's
appalled.
nephew.
Whoa.
On it.
Hold
Let's
up.
continue.
So no, I can't possibly understand what you're doing here. I'm appalled. Yo, this motherfucker is such a drama queen. Holy shit. I'm sorry. So no, I can't possibly understand what you're doing here. I'm appalled.
So, now Kyle went on to do a segment with Cenk Uger's nephew instead of me. That is hardly staying out of it. And and the subject, of course, came up.
I love how, like, Hassan is not Hassan. He's Cenk Uger's nephew. Like, what does that relate? Like, I don't, like, that's just so disrespectful to Hassan, Like, I'm sorry, that's just bizarre.
And here's how they covered it.
They just stay out of, like, all the fucking Jimmy Dore drama or whatever the fuck's going on at any given moment. Like, people will always come in and they're like, dude, what do you think about this? I'm like, no.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Yeah,
shut the fuck up. Like,
We're all sympathetic there.
Yeah, I would much rather talk about, like literally using a pocket pussy than that, which I do. I talk about a variety of different things. I just don't think that, like,
look how angry Jimmy
it's just hilarious that they're all good thing he didn't say nice news. Anyway, so they're laughing off. They're framing it as Jimmy Dore drama, which is unbelievably disingenuous and a disservice to what's happening. And it's a dishonest framing by news people who should know better, and they do know better because I already told them. Because they're doing that. I already sent them that text. They already know this. Everything I wrote in that text, Kyle knows this.
Actually, that's what we were recording when you texted us, and it was after that episode that we responded to you, and then you responded to us. But put that aside, that's neither here nor there. There's a bunch of things I have to say in response to this. See, this is where everything really changes. Because, again, early on, they were very fair. They were like, hey, Kyle's right on force to vote. He helped us a lot. He was eloquent. I think basically they argue, yeah, he's a good faith actor. And then now here, they're really reading into this clip a lot of stuff that's just not there. So he seems to believe that it's like a slight or a potshot at him that we spoke to Cenk's nephew. But if you follow anything about Hassan Piker, he's no longer just Cenk's nephew. In fact, he very openly disagrees with Cenk on a zillion things. Hassan Piker literally dunked
Again,
on Cenk.
like, that's just hilarious. Like, the idea that you're just gonna try to delegitimize someone because they're, like, related to someone else. Like, it's hilarious.
For the same dumb tweet about Sky Gods with Israel-Palestine as Aaron Mate did. He's his own man, and he's one of the top Twitch streamers in the world. To have on Cenk's nephew, Hassan Piker, is to have on Hassan Piker. It's got nothing to do with Cenk, which gets to the point of what was said in that clip. Hassan says, when people ask me about the Jimmy Dore drama, I say, no, not even gonna comment on it. Hold on. He said he's not even gonna comment on it, and then I respond, quote, I feel the same way. That's all I say in the clip. And Crystal says, we're all simpatico there. We make the point, we don't want to get involved in it, and you interpret that as tacit endorsement of the Young Turks and the smears against Aaron and you and the threat that was made against you. No. Let me be clear. Let me be on the record as much as anybody could be on the record.
Hilarious.
I think you and Aaron were smeared. I think they threatened you. You had every right to defend yourself. I do think you went a little too far in your defense by effectively slut-shaming Anna. But you guys are right on the policies. You have every reason to be upset. All that stuff is true.
Again, force the vote and Russiagate are not policy discussions. Those are what side of the coin of a conspiracy theory are you on?
And it's also true that everything we said in this clip stands on its own two legs. Namely, the point I was making was, I don't want to get in the middle of this because I don't want to get in the middle of it. In other words, I want to avoid the exact same fucking thing I'm doing right now. I don't have to do this segment. I don't have to talk about this. I don't have to dissect this 1,000 different ways to Sunday. All I wanted to do, Aaron and Jimmy, was to be out of this. That's it. All I wanted to do was to not interject myself. But now I feel like, my hand was forced, and so I have to comment on it, and I'm losing a lot of friends over this. I know it's not just Jimmy and Aaron that hate me now. Also, of course, the people at the Young Turks would hate me now, because why wouldn't they? I'm saying I 90% disagree with them on the shit that's going on. So what do you expect is going to happen?
This is
so
great.
He's reading so much into...
I love this. Again, he could have just been like a slightly normal person. But this is what happens when you try to attach yourself to a grifter narcissist for so many fucking years, and then you don't know when to pull the plug. Like, this is like getting out, like, during, like, Trump's lame duck session versus getting out during, like, the first 6 months of his presidency, right? This is like, he's sunk with the ship. It's over for him, man.
To this clip, and this is the nuclear thing I was talking about earlier, that at times, whenever I say stuff they agree with, there's an underlying charitability that they have for me. But then when I say stuff like this, which is actually relatively benign, they read malintent into it, as if it was a shot at Jimmy, when it wasn't a shot at Jimmy. And it wasn't some sort of tacit endorsement of the shit that TYT was doing. It was literally exactly what it says at face value there. Sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. Sometimes, hey, I want to stay out means I just want to stay out. All right, let's continue.
That clip right there, when I saw that to me opens up, with that clip, I think that they invited themselves up to criticism. People are wondering why we're talking about this now.
That's right.
That clip right there was basically belittling, I think. That's why I took it, the concerns that we have. Because it's one thing if you want to decide, but I don't want to comment.
They're whiny little babies. Like, where do you need your diaper changed? Who fucking gives a fuck? Like, this is so petty. It's so childish. Oh my God, they said they didn't want to talk about me on their podcast. How dare they not talk about me on their podcast? Don't they know that because I'm me and they're not me, that they have to spend all their time on all their podcasts talking about me? And if they don't talk about me, then that is the Like, what the fuck is wrong with you people? What is wrong with these...
Comment on an issue. You don't have to comment on an issue. No one's going to force you. I personally was disappointed that people like them stayed silent. If they had been smeared like that, I think I can confidently say that I was spoken up, because I don't think that kind of smearing should be tolerated. But whatever, you can't demand that someone speak up for you. Okay, but to say, if they just said, you know what, we don't want to talk about this, period. But then they don't just say that. Then they try to justify it by doing two things. One is they draw, as you told them, this false equivalency between a joke you made 7 years ago and you apologized for, and what they did, which is smearing me and then trying to blackmail you with this ridiculous sexual harassment claim. Okay, there's no equivalency between that, and that's why, as you said, it's not a war; it's a smear campaign. And then going publicly and actually commenting on it by basically belittling the whole thing and dismissing it as Jimmy Dore drama. It's not Jimmy Dore drama. It's us pushing back against a smear campaign, which we have the right to do. And if you're going to belittle us for doing that, you're basically taking the side of the smear campaign.
What? It baffles me that they can watch that clip and think that's me saying I'm basically taking the side of the smear campaign. That's me saying exactly what I said there, which is I just don't want to be involved in this. I just want to get out of this. That's all it is. I mean, they're reading so much into that when none of it was actually said. So, I mean, let's go through it. They keep bringing up false equivalence. I don't know how I can be any more clear. I'm 85 or 90% with Aaron and Jimmy on the actual issues here. I'm with them on Russia and Syria and forced the vote. With them in the sense that Aaron was smeared. They threatened Jimmy, and that was totally unfair. He had every right to swat aside those allegations. All that is true.
I love how
literally
every time, every new video he makes, he's more in line with Jimmy. Like, he's apologizing. He's now saying that he was threatened. Oh, the threats. Oh, like he is like creeping back toward the Jimbo Dumbo section. Like, and that's what's so bizarre to me, is that this guy is like, he's literally being beaten publicly and shamed publicly, like in such an embarrassing way. I don't see how anyone can take him seriously at this point.
The only point of disagreement is, I think when Jimmy was swatting aside those allegations, he went too far and he slut-shamed Dana and talking about how she dressed inappropriately and everybody could see her ass and all that stuff. I think that went too far. That's really my only disagreement with you guys. And guess what? I wanted to keep it to myself, but you kept insisting I got involved. And so now here I am getting involved, and I don't know how else to say it because I was crystal clear there. I just didn't want to be involved or say anything. And then it's like you guys kept insisting I got involved. Then I told you what I really thought, and my 90% disagreement wasn't enough. It needed to be 100% agreement, or you do an hour-long segment where you come after me. It just honestly really is amazing. It's like, watch it. This is like the Twilight Zone because they keep saying that I believe things or I'm saying things that I'm not saying and I don't believe. And I don't know how else to rebut it other than to keep reiterating, I don't believe the things you're saying I believe. They say the clip was belittling the concerns you have. No, it wasn't. The clip was saying, look, I just don't want to get involved in this. I just don't want to get in the middle of it because it's really...
This is so funny. I can't with this shit. This is so
it's really
funny.
Personal. Anything that's substantive policy-wise, I'm always going to comment on it. But in terms of throwing myself in the middle of the fucking #MeToo stuff and the blackmail stuff and this and that was the last thing I ever wanted.
Again, the substantive policy. I will talk about substantive policy like #ForceTheVote or Russiagate. But... the petty drama like Me Too, sexual assault, that's just petty drama. I've got more important things, like to discuss #ForceTheVote, a failed political strategy that got literally nowhere close to even being, even remotely suggested in the halls of Congress 7 fucking months ago. Substantive policy, unlike #MeToo.
Last thing I wanted. Why do I want to get in the middle of that when anybody's involved? Never mind 3 people who I know myself. So, and they said they don't want to comment on an issue. Well, you don't have to if you don't want to. But wait, that's what I said in the clip is I don't want to comment on the issue. And I was acting like I don't have to, so I'm just going to say I don't want to comment on it. And then I was proceeded to be dragged into this debate. We'll get to more on that in a little bit. And one more thing, Aaron says there, I would have spoken up if they were smeared like that. We already established that he didn't. But again, I don't hold that against him. He didn't do anything wrong.
I love that. We already established that he didn't. That's so good. That's so good. Is that Kyle's got this whole, I got smeared too and you didn't say anything. And then now he's referencing it post hoc. He's like, yeah, you didn't do that. I'm sorry. I just find that's like when you're watching a movie and they give you some exposition at the beginning that comes into play. Like one of the characters is seen coming home from work at a pizza place or whatever. And then later in the movie, them working at the pizza place is a relevant detail. And then you see there you go. And there's the payoff there. That's what I feel here. The payoff. That is just extremely funny.
You don't owe me anything, Aaron. You're not entitled, I'm not entitled to your defense on anything. Whether it's my old tweets, whether it's Crystal's thing where Nathan J. Robinson argues she's emboldens Nazis. We're not entitled to anything, man. And it's okay. It's okay. And by the way, I get Russiagated and McCarthy smeared all the time. I debated Cenk on Russiagate. Everybody knows that. Louis Mensch came after me. And I didn't see many people respond at all, at least no prominent lefties. But it's okay. I'm not saying that as a gotcha. I'm just saying that so that please just extend the same charitability to me that I do to you. Okay? The charitability I extend to you is I don't assume you're just in league with all of my enemies de facto or default. I don't do that. And you shouldn't do that either because how many times do I have to go through it? I agree with you guys on almost all the policies. Anyway, continue.
Also, to go ahead and talk about it and misframe it like that and to do it with Cenk's nephew is you're not pressing pause. You're not staying out of it.
I just love the whole Cenk's nephew thing. It's so fucking hilarious.
Exact opposite.
Yeah.
So you didn't get dragged into this. Kyle Kulinski inserted himself into this. Kyle did that on purpose and didn't have to, but he did. And that's obvious. So that's why the next day on Twitter, people were saying, hey, Kyle, why don't you cover the story and the thing? And I liked a tweet, and that's what set him off to do this video.
He says, that last part is important. He says, the next day on Twitter, somebody said, why don't you cover the that and the thing? And I liked it, and that's what set him off.
So that's why the next day on Twitter, people were saying, hey, Kyle, why don't you cover the story and the thing? And I liked a tweet, and that's what
Kyle's mad now. He's got him. The smoking gun, folks. Let's go.
Set him off to do this video.
Okay, Jimmy, you know the specifics of that. The specifics of that are, I'll throw it up on the screen now. The tweet he liked said, Crystal and Kyle, seriously though, you're ignoring the serious story completely to avoid drama? Weak. The reason that set me off, Jimmy, is because I didn't ignore the Syria story at all. In fact, I covered Biden bombing Syria the day before. Okay? I covered that as the first story the day before. And then the OPCW leaks I brought up numerous times, and I brought it up in a fucking live stream in my very last live stream. So let me show that.
So we're the rebels in Syria doing, so we are the rebels that
Who cares?
That's why I feel like
he's just puffing himself up. But this is, it's really funny. 'Cause, he sees he's winning a logical argument. That's what this whole thing is presented as. He's trying to play chess, and there's the rules of engagement, and he is winning and succeeding at the rules of engagement, and therefore encroaching closer to victory. When in reality, he's playing checkers, and Jimmy Dore is playing fucking 7-dimensional chess with his bitch ass. Jimmy's playing the long game. He's using him for views, and he's gonna suck him dry of subscribers and viewers. That's what he's doing.
I was dragged into it because I feared that since I was trying to stay out of it, right? I said, I want to stay out of this. Yes, I said it with Hassan Piker. I don't think that's damning. It was just happened to be with Hassan Piker when I said it. I said it a number of times. Well, one of the times I was with Hassan Piker. Yes, I said, I don't want to be involved in it. And then Jimmy took a clip where I said, I don't want to be involved in it. And somehow made that I'm not doing my job right on Syria or the OPCW leaks. So a passive-aggressive thing to try to prod me to talk about that when I've been talking about that. So then that's the thing. If I'm right on the policies and I just want to stay out of the drama, then what's the problem? There should be no problem. There should be no problem at all. And when he says I inserted myself in the middle of it, how? Woo! How did I insert myself in the middle of it? How? Because I talked to Hassan Piker, Jenk's nephew, who also didn't want to talk about this? I don't understand. I genuinely don't understand. Guys, I mean this sincerely. You're reading so much into nothing. You're reading into a clip where we're laughing and saying we don't want to be involved in the Jimmy Dore drama. Now, by the way, I didn't say those words. Hassan Piker said those words, and he easily could have said TYT drama or Jimmy Dore and TYT drama. By the way, I would have reacted the same way if he said Steven Crowder and Sam Cedar drama. I would have reacted the exact same way because I don't like getting involved when it gets personal.
Also, what? What does that mean? Wait, what? What kind? Whoa, that was bizarre. What drama did Steven Crowder and Sam Cedar get into? How are you gonna play both sides? And one of the sides is Steven Crowder. What is... Like, what? What the fuck are you doing? That was not Steven Crowder, Sam Cedar drama. That was just a really funny YouTube moment where someone went viral for getting dunked on. How are you gonna both sides that? How are you gonna say, yeah, Steven Crowder, Sam Cedar... You know, I don't want to get into the drama. What?
Those words. Hassan Piker said those words, and he easily could have said TYT drama or Jimmy Dore and TYT drama. By the way, I would have reacted the same way if he said Steven Crowder and Sam Cedar drama.
Why would you not want to get it? There wasn't drama. I'm sorry, I'm triggered by that. That's hilarious. The idea that he's trying to both sides Steven Crowder is so funny.
Reacted the exact same way because I don't like getting involved when it gets personal. When it gets personal, okay? So. But that part was actually one of the more frustrating ones to me when he sort of downplays him liking that tweet. Because what did I fear when I saw him do that? I was like, oh no, Jimmy's going to start going out there on his show and taking shots at me and acting like I'm not doing my job on Syria when I'm doing my job on Syria. You know? So that's why I was like, whoa. So I said I want to stay out of it.
Again, the idea that the tweet is what triggered him is hilarious.
And I'm doing my job on Syria, and then all of a sudden, he views me trying to stay out of it as me interjecting or siding with TYT, and then he takes a shot at me over Syria when I've been right on Syria and haven't done anything wrong on Syria. Okay, let's continue.
This is stunning.
I'll never know exactly what happened. I don't think Jimmy's a sex pest. I don't think he's a criminal. I don't think this is a hashtag Me Too thing.
I appreciate you saying that. That was also very nice. I appreciate him saying that. Thank you. I will appreciate it if it's not a hashtag.
Again, I'm sorry. I'm still stuck on the Crowder Cedar thing. That is so fucking funny. Did Kyle really not mention the Steven Crowder, Sam Cedar thing at all because he thought it was drama? Like, that tells me, like, does he think he actually had, like, if he made a video about Steven Crowder, he'd lose subscribers or get big dislikes? Is that what he thinks?
Me Too thing. Then you should have said she's fucking weaponizing this in a disingenuous, sleazy way. That would have been an honest way to talk about this. But he didn't say that. She's allowed to do a fake thing, a bullshit thing, and to try to deflect and distract everybody from her McCarthy smears, and no one's going to call her on that.
But my issue with the thing we just saw
Listen to this.
is what he just said right there.
Unbelievable.
Oh, she dresses inappropriate. Inappropriate? Who the fuck are you to determine what is and isn't appropriate for her? Are you a fundamentalist Christian? I mean, that's like some hardcore Republican thing to say. And if I'm being objective about this, even though Jimmy's my friend, if somebody spoke about my mom or my sister or my girlfriend like that, it would take every fiber of my being to not want to beat the shit out of them.
Wow.
Because that's humiliating. And he admits that it was a humiliating thing in the segment, but then it doesn't occur to you that maybe bringing this up again and talking about it in the way you're talking about it is like going to humiliate her yet again?
Okay, what Kyle's leaving out there, unfortunately, and this is a sin that he's committing, and he's doing this on purpose.
A sin?
He's pretending like I just started to tell that story, again, for no reason. He's leaving out the part that Anna Kasparian blackmailed me.
You know what, Jimmy?
Yeah, he's leaving out the part that didn't happen. My own little interpretation and conspiracy theory aspect of this whole thing that isn't true and doesn't even make any sense when you look at things like the definitions of words, that's the part he's leaving out. Wow. What a coincidence.
You're right. I didn't pause and reflect on that. I didn't make a point of saying,
and now
yeah, she's threatening you, she's trying to
beta male
and that's
over
not
here.
Okay. I should have done that. I should have stopped. I should have made that point. I should have been more forthright with that. All I did was put your segment on the screen where you could see the tweet, and everybody saw that she was reaching out to you to say, hey, stop talking or else. But no, you're right. There's no excuse. I should have brought that up, and I apologize for not bringing that up. You're right, and I think that's a fair description of events. I do. I will say, though, it's interesting, because yet again in this clip, it goes back and forth from basically saying I'm an honest person to saying I'm doing something misleading, quote, on purpose. At the beginning of the segment, when I say you're not a sex pest, you're not criminal, this isn't a Me Too thing, it's, well, thank you for admitting that. I appreciate it. But then when I have a criticism of you, it's, oh, I'm being misleading on purpose. Or when I left something out, oh, you're leaving that out on purpose. I mean, I don't understand why you continue to oscillate back and forth between I'm honest, I'm dishonest, I'm honest, I'm dishonest. I can assure you everything I'm...
Reminder, Kyle's doing the same thing. He's presenting this whole thing as if, like, Jimmy's an honest person when he knows he's not an honest person. So Kyle is doing the same thing. That's what's so hilarious about this video, is because Jimmy is at least brazenly being like a fucking like obvious like loser and trying to like, you know, misinterpret things to get clicks, right? Kyle recognizes that and is calling him out on it. But Kyle is doing the same thing because if he were honest with himself, he would not be speaking about Jimmy Dore in the same way he's doing. He would be very explicit about how he knows that he's like misusing a lot of the stuff just for the clicks and views, because he knows that that's the case. And if he doesn't, he's a fucking idiot. So I'm assuming he does. And therefore, he should understand how and why, like, and therefore that just like it just destroys the whole argument that he's trying to
saying
make.
Is coming from an honest place.
From his fucking magnum opus, by the way.
Whether or not you agree with it, which gets to my final point on it, which is, listen, man, I agree with you. They weaponize this against you. They try to muzzle you. That's totally unacceptable. I also think that when
muzzle you, bro, the guy's got like fucking 1 million YouTube subs. He's not getting muzzled.
You were swatting aside the allegations, even though it's a tough situation, even though it's unfair you were even in that position and had to do that, you did overreach. You did go too far. You did slut shame because you said she was dressing inappropriately and you said everybody could see her ass and all that stuff. Sorry. And I do think that if you watch Pat Robertson or Bill O'Reilly make a comment like that, you would criticize it. Rightfully so. Because it's worthy of criticism. And that's, by the way, my only criticism of you here. But, you know, it's, you're making it seem like that's absurd. And it's not absurd.
So if Kyle's going to clutch his pearls and somehow try to validate whatever garbage he's trying to validate, that I said she dressed inappropriately. Please don't say inappropriate. Oh, my God. You know how that stings. What the hell's wrong with you? Get a hold of yourself. So if you're going to do that, I'm going to have to show this tweet of you interacting with Anna. And he tweeted out, if Cenk Uygur masturbates live on the...
Again, Kyle is referring to the dressing inappropriate comment that Jimmy made this year, not the initial incident. He's being very clear about that. So that's why this is so bizarre.
Young Turks, viewers drops to 12 people. If Anna Kasparian does, viewers go up to 6,000. Hashtag TYT Live.
Now, this is Jimmy trying to hypocrisy burn me. But there's a problem. I defended him for his old joke. Go back to the first segment and listen to what I say. I say, hey, the original incident,
so
what do you want me to tell you? I don't think he's a sex pest. I don't think he's a criminal. I don't think this is a Me Too thing. I tend to, you know, lean in his direction with how he describes the events. He made a joke and, you know, maybe it crossed the line, maybe it didn't, but hey, that's not the thing that's an issue to me. That's what I say. That's not the thing that's an issue. So notice something. I defended him on his bad joke because I have standards and I have principles, and he turned around and attacked me.
I'm sorry, that's like clip worthy. I defended him on his bad joke because I have standards and principles. That's
something. I defended him on his bad joke because I have standards and I have principles. And
hold up. That's got to be saved. That one's good.
He turned around and attacked me on my joke. I defended him on his joke. He attacked me on my joke because he thought that this was a hypocrisy burn because he's acting like I went after him for his bad joke when I didn't do that. I didn't do that at all. See, this is what I mean when I say he goes nuclear. He's now determined because of what I said that his enemy on this. So therefore, fling any mud against the wall, and if it sticks, it's okay. And so he pulls up an old tweet of mine to be like, aha, see, hypocrite. And you're the one who says raunchy stuff. You're the one who says edgy stuff. I'm pro edgy stuff. I'm pro raunchy stuff. I'm pro fun. I'm pro joke. I never said otherwise. I'm massively politically incorrect. So are you. And you know what? I love that about you, buddy. I love that about you. But don't try to do this silly hypocrisy burning when there's no hypocrisy there.
This is so weak.
The only thing I took issue with was what you said while you were correctly swatting aside the allegations. You slut-shamed, and you said she dressed inappropriately. And it's hilariously ironic because you're saying I'm clutching my pearls by making that criticism. When you say a woman dresses inappropriately, that's clutching your pearls. To say a woman is dressing inappropriately is the definition of pearl clutching. That is some shit Pat Robertson or Bill O'Reilly would say. And if they did say it, you would make...
How many times is he going to say the same thing? What does he say?
They have personal friendships with these smear artists, and okay, it's hard to go against your friends.
Here's the thing. I said early on, I said for as long as I possibly could, I want to stay out of this, I want to stay out of this, I want to stay out of this, I want to stay out of this. Not only because I know everybody involved, but also because it's ugly and it's personal. But you know what? At a certain point, I was dragged in and I couldn't stay out of it. So you know what I did then? I told the truth exactly as I see it. And my reward for that was losing all of my friends. It would have been a lot easier on me and for my life if I picked a side and argued for it full throttle. Instead, I told the truth exactly as I see it, and now they all hate me. I'm sure Aaron and Jimmy are not very happy with me,
That's
and I know TYT is not very happy
funny.
with me.
This is so funny.
No good deed goes unpunished. If you tell the truth exactly as you see it, sometimes you alienate everybody. That's exactly what happened with me. And by the way, to that first part, they say, oh, listen, this isn't a careerist ambition thing. He's not serving the establishment. The reason they said that, and thank you guys, I appreciate that, sincerely, but the reason they have to say that is because they're people...
This is almost over, and yes, I am very exhausted, folks. I apologize, but again, highly requested. Oh, whoops. What did I do? Okay.
Some in my audience, but, you know, from Jimmy's audience as well, who, because I'm making a criticism of him, they think, well, I must be a sellout. I'm by definition a sellout because I'm critical of Jimmy. And that's a common theme. That's a common theme where if somebody disagrees with Jimmy, a lot of people immediately think they're a sellout. And they think there are very few, maybe no, good faith critics of Jimmy. To be fair to Jimmy and Aaron, they are not saying that. They're saying quite the opposite. They're saying he's not, an establishment suck-up or a careerist. But now there are people who think I am, because I'm critical of Jimmy in certain ways on this story.
Who cares?
Ambition.
A stop to the smears. That's
Yes.
really what his
Oh, yeah.
you would have
Stop.
preferred-
Hashtag stop the smears.
I literally have zero ambitions, and I want to keep doing my show exactly as it is.
You would have preferred that he came out and
would've-
said what was actually happening.
Right.
And would have stopped to the smears. That's
Yes.
really what his
All
announcement should have been.
All you had to do
everybody.
was, boy, it's awfully fucked up what Anna and Jake are doing, and and everybody knows it, and that's
And now
that.
this guy's like, I just want to talk about Jimmy's got
All you
YouTube
had to do
was, boys, it's
comments
just-
open. Like, this is how like desperate Jimmy is for attention. And this is why, again, he makes a crucial part of his show reading what people say about him, because that way he doesn't have to say those things about him directly. This is the way a narcissist operates. Thank you, CJ. $5. I actually used to really respect Kyle. It sucks. Yeah, same, honestly. So again, this is a classic YouTube narcissist trick. I know because I'm a YouTube narcissist. Okay, so you post things that people say that you agree with about you, and the editorial decision of deciding which posts to highlight. When all the posts you highlight are people saying, Jimmy Dore is so right, you're a sellout grifter, Kyle. And you're talking about, and you're reading the comments, and then you act as if like, oh, this is what people are saying. This is just what people are reading about the situation. You know what that does? It creates a feedback loop where people are going to watch that, and then they're going to go to the next video that Kyle makes, and they're going to say the same thing that you highlighted on your show as a way so that they can get on your show, so that they can tell their friend group or post on Twitter, hey, look, I was on the Jimmy Dore show. Look, that's my comment. Come on, this is basic shit here. This is so basic. And the way that Kyle pretends like that's not the case. Ugh, it's embarrassing.
It's awfully fucked up what Anna and Jake are doing, and and everybody knows it, and that's that.
It is a point of agreement. I agree with that.
But at least don't belittle Jimmy and myself for pushing back. And at least don't try to draw a bullshit false equivalency. Because ultimately, that just helps the smear artist. And that's not fair. It's not fair to you or me. And to just, and to the cause of the left in general. It's actually enabling a very toxic thing. So I hope that people will think about it.
Who cares?
No, actively trying to muzzle you.
Who
Gross,
cares?
friends.
Who cares?
Those are things that I to read.
Who cares?
I kind of belittle you guys. I agree. 80 cleared some stuff
All
up.
right, I don't care about this anymore. All right, if there's another part of this, if anyone wants me to watch another video, let me know. Send it to me on Twitter. I will watch it. I'm trying to get back into YouTube drama because people keep requesting it, and I've taken a hiatus from YouTube drama. So, but that's basically going to be my show for today. Again, I appreciate the watching, the support. Again, hopefully you're enjoying the new room layout for now, because it's going to change pretty soon. But this is the world that I live in at this current moment in time. And yeah, there you go. Trump press conference? I don't know.